Welcome back, crafters. Welcome back to Crafting with Bean. My name is Jill. I'm so happy you stopped by my channel today. Today I've got something simple. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I usually like to keep things very simple, very quick, and very easy. I'm a newer stamper, I'm a newer paper crafter, so I'm learning a lot of tips and things, but one thing that I really appreciate is simplicity. You can get things done quicker, you can do it for less money, and be a little more efficient, and really get the most out of your supplies. So what I'm going to demonstrate for you today is just something very simple. It's very monochromatic, but we're going to make it look not monochromatic. This is the card that we're going to make today. Very simple. I've got a few different variations to show you. This is just one color and one stamp set. One color meaning the cardstock, the ink is all the same color, and I'm only using one stamp set. This is the Art Gallery stamp set. I love this one. There's just no way to do it wrong. It's just a beautiful, beautiful stamp set, and so I'm going to be using this one stamp set and this one color. So I have polished pink. That's my ink for today. I've got the Stampin' Up! Ink stamper. I've got my little ink spot. I have my stamp set, of course. I've got one piece of white cardstock that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have, of course, my polished pink cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I've scored it down the middle. So let me put this off to the side. Actually, I'll put this over here. And so you can kind of see the final result as we go along here. So I've inked up my little ink spot here. Again, I don't have a whole lot of supplies, but I've got a lot of little ink spots. I've inked it up, and I've scored this just before you joined me. I'm going to flatten that with my bone folder. I have a good friend that actually uses a butter knife, whatever works for you, to make sure that that stays closed and we have that nice crisp crease on there. I usually crease mine on the back so that just in case anything were to wear off, sometimes bone folders can leave like a sheen that's on there. I always do it on the back. So here's the front of my card, and this is going to be the front. Now, this is white cardstock, but I'm going to use a brush. I ordered a set of these from Amazon. They come in all different colors. The Stampin' Up! Version of these is so much nicer, but they are often on back order. They're such a popular product. I've used them before at a friend's class, and they really work a lot better, but I just ordered these from Amazon. They do the job. They're a little bit cheaper than what's in Stampin' Up!, but I do like the Stampin' Up! Ones a lot better. They're bigger, they offer a little bit more control, but if you're just starting off, these will do the trick just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some room for a piece of paper here so I don't get ink all over my workstation. Set my card base off to the side. I'm just going to set down this white cardstock and open up my ink stamp here. And again, I'm using the polished pink. And for this technique, you just want to make sure that you tap it a few times, you tap it off a couple of times, and kind of go back and then start off the paper. And you're just going to do in circular motions, bringing this onto your page. Now you can see that kind of dark corner right there. That's okay. We want this to look, colored, but not in a really harsh sort of way. And so that's where these circles motions are going to come in. And I'm not really going to color in the middle here. I'm going to kind of hold on to my paper as I just sort of tap onto my ink and bring it on. You want to bring it onto the paper like this. You want to start it off, push it down onto your scrap paper, and then sort of circle, bring it on there. I'm going to turn this around just so that I can, again, I'm kind of avoiding the center a little bit because that's where my flower is going to go. That's where my stamp image and my sentiment is going to be. So I'm kind of leaving the middle a little bit more bare. Now let's say that were to bother me. That's fine. I can flip it over. I can start all over again on the other side. I'm right-handed, as you can see, so I tend to be a little bit more heavy-handed with my ink when I come on from the right side as opposed to when I come in from the left side. So it doesn't matter. Do whatever you want to. My good friend Chris says there's two sides to every page and every piece of paper. So if you don't like what you did on the first side, hey, flip it over, work it again on the other side. I'm just going to rub this off a little bit. By the time you're done, it really doesn't leave any ink on there. I'm going to set that off to the side. And now I've got my cardstock that already looks like designer series paper. I think I actually like this side a little bit better. And once I put it up against my cardstock here, I've got just a thin border all the way around. I've got just 1/8 of an inch of a border. You can already tell that it matches. It's all that color coordination. And we've done it with just one ink stamp and one ink spot, and then of course our matching cardstock. So we're set here. Now let's stamp the image on here. Using, again, the Art Gallery stamp set, it is a two-step stamping, which means you stamp one and then you stamp it one more time to give it a little bit more definition. These are just gorgeous. They're going to be beautiful whether you do the second stamp or not. But the first one we're going to do is the leaves, and I'm going to ink it up this way. There we go. I'm going to stamp it, right about in the middle or so. And I'm going to stamp directly. I'm not going to stamp off. Look at, beautiful, with minimal effort. The second one I'm going to do, this is the larger of the stamp. It's the more full stamp. This one I'm going to stamp off. And if you're new to what that means, it basically means I'm going to ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to take that full juiciness off, and then I'm going to stamp my image on my cardstock. That's called stamping off. And now you can see it's a little bit lighter. Here comes the second part of this sort of, it looks like it's a broken apart pieces. This is what's actually going to come on there. I'm going to ink that up. This is the second part of the two-step stamp. I'm just going to ink that up a little bit. And then I'm just going to line it up really quick here, press down. Notice I didn't stamp off. I want this one to be darker. And look how beautiful that ends up being. I don't need a second color. I've only used one color ink on this whole card front so far. And really look at how beautiful it's already turned out. The last thing I have is my sentiment, and I'm going with happy birthday. Again, I've got my little ink spot right here. I think I'll put this right at the top. And voila, you have a beautiful card with just one color ink and one color cardstock. And yet, look at the dimension that you have on here. You have this very beautiful background, you have this really gorgeous image, and then you have, of course, your sentiment all in the same one. I'm going to adhere this with my Stampin' Seal. I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back here. Attach it to my card. Again, I've got just a little bit of a border, and that's it. You've got a beautiful card. Now, if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I use a heavier copy paper for the inside of the sentiment. It works just fine. I don't typically stamp the inside of my cards. So this works just fine. It's a little bit heavier of a printer paper. It's not just the usual copy paper. I'll put a link in the description below. I ordered mine from Amazon. Put that in there. If I wanted to, I could even take that stamp and still put yet something else maybe down over here. I would probably do that before I attach it in here, just so it doesn't get on the sides. But there you have it, a very simple, well put together stamp in one color. Now, in this design, I'm going to show you a few other examples that I had in mind with this. So this is the polished pink. This is one of the new in colors for 2021 and 2022. So that's the polished pink. The next one that I did was Bermuda Bay. And this one you can see I did the exact same technique. I just had, I used my brush, I put my Bermuda Bay all the way around there. I stamped just the same way that we did. I stamped off for the background and not for that. I did use a little bit of Wink of Stella on there. I don't know if you can see that if the camera picks that up very well, but you can see I added just a little bit of a touch to it. And you can see as we go along here, as I progress, I've gotten a little bit, I'll add a little more each time. This is Evening Evergreen. Now I'm a subscriber to Paper Pumpkin. I would recommend you do the same. In every box of Paper Pumpkin, it's a monthly card subscription kit that you get these little ink spots. And last month, in the Expressions in Color Paper Pumpkin, we actually got 2 ink spots. We got Evening Evergreen, and that's what I used to stamp this card. I happen to have the cardstock, and so I added a couple of pearls, just something I had in my stash. But this is with the Evening Evergreen. So don't think that just because it's all green, it won't look beautiful. Look how beautiful that is. As we move along, I took the Night of Navy, And this time I popped this up on dimensionals. I do have the die set to go along with this, so I put these up on dimensionals. And then I even added a little piece of scrap Night of Navy cardstock back there. But look how beautiful this could be. I chose a sympathy expression. This stamp actually came from the Itty Bitty Greetings. But whatever that you have in your stash, it could be used. But look, it could be masculine, it could be a feminine card. I like that it's a sympathy card. It's not underdone, it's not overdone, it's very subtle. Whoever receives this will, I think, very much appreciate the color schemes there. And again, that's Night of Navy. Then what I did, you're not going to believe this, I actually used Memento Black. I sure did. I used the Tuxedo Black ink on this, and look, it turned out gorgeous. The only color then that's on here is these little pearls that are with the Hydrangea Haven bundle. And any color that you add here is going to really pop. It reminds me of those, I think they're Renoir paintings where everything is sort of shaded except for maybe 1 or 2 pops of color, and it really stands out, but it looks amazing. And I definitely think I've got a video coming up that I'm going to create with just the black and white stamping and the many different effects that you can get from it. So just Memento Black ink. Going back to the paper pumpkin and having these 2 Stampin' spots, the Bumblebee and Evening Evergreen, I used the same stamp set, and what I did was I had the Bumblebee up on the top, and it's the top of my flower, the Evening Evergreen at the bottom, and you can see I sort of left a little bit of space. I really didn't want to mix the green and the yellow, so I left just a little bit of room, which you can barely tell, and I put, this was stamped in Evening Evergreen, this was stamped in the Bumblebee. This is actually on Daffodil Delight cardstock, but it still goes so well, and I had a couple of these faceted gems that I attached to it. I stamped the U portion in the Bumblebee and the rest in the Evening Evergreen. So I've sort of now added 2 different colors to these cards. And finally, I had a lot of Highland Heather products. I have the Highland Heather ink, the cardstock, I even had this ribbon, and then these pearls that actually came from the same set as these pink pearls here. And I did the same thing, Highland Heather on top, Evening Evergreen on the bottom. I added a little piece of cardstock that I could put my ribbon around, and it almost looks like I'm using 2 different designer series papers that were just made for it. So as you can see, we've made a very simple set of cards using not very many inks. Look at the different varieties that we have, using whatever I had in my stash. I love the ink spots. I really can't say enough about them. I've used this polished pink. I've actually probably made about 15 cards already, and I still haven't had to even re-ink it. And you can see there's a lot that comes in a re-inker. So this is going to last me a very long time. But these are a great product selection. It's also a really great way to build up the supplies that you have. Going back to this one with Memento Black, I did want to mention that I did put a piece of cardstock behind here. I actually had cardstock where I had punched out a different saying behind this. So I have black cardstock with basically a hole in the middle. And then I added my white cardstock that I had brushed on that Memento Black all over as well. So use your scraps, use what you have in place. The same thing here. So that's all for my video now. I'll leave the description of the measurements and colors that I used, along with the art gallery stamp set that I used in this video. Take care, everybody, and until I see you at the next video.